So just earlier this afternoon, the JLC led the community's delegation to its annual meeting with the Prime Minister, the first one that we've held with Prime Minister Theresa May. This is a regular meeting, and it's almost, if you like, the culmination of a whole range of the community's work leading up to it, and then coming out from the meeting, if it goes well, there's a lot of follow-up work that's done with individual departments and with parts of Number 10. I'm joined by Claudia Mendoza, our Director of Policy and Public Affairs, who was at the meeting and has come straight back here from Downing Street. Claudia, you were there. Obviously there were a range of issues discussed, but I know that the first issue that came up was anti-Semitism. How was that discussed by the Prime Minister? How was that received?
Well, we alerted the Prime Minister to the fact that this year has seen the highest number of anti-Semitic incidents on record. And obviously, because of her former role as Home Secretary, she's very aware of this issue and she's very aware of the work that CST does. The message that she gave us was that anti-Semitism in society is completely unacceptable, and she will do everything she can to continue to stamp it out. So we have to take her on her word of that.
The delegation that we put together obviously is put together because of the issues that we're raising rather than necessarily the individuals who are going to be there. So of the other issues that were raised, were there any in particular that she seemed to engage with us more than the others?
I mean, she was very responsive to everything, I have to say, but the things that seemed to interest her the most were Jamie's work on mental health first aid training. That seems to be a very big focus of hers and something that she seems to want to talk to us about how she might be able to roll forward. The other issue was Jewish Care's work and what they can learn from us and how we can consult on the Green Paper. The thing that she said, which was interesting, was social care is such a big problem. It's not the sort of thing that can be resolved by one person, one organisation or one party, and we have to consult as widely as possible. So Jewish Care have said that they will put forward some recommendations in the Green Paper. And the other issue that seemed to excite her was the work of World Jewish Relief and what they're doing with Syrian refugees to integrate them into society, to teach them English, to get them jobs, and she's keen to learn more about what we're doing there.
And this year, probably compared to previous years, foreign policy was not so much of an issue, I know that, but what the things that you did bring up on foreign policy, what were they and how were they received?
So Jonathan Goldstein, our chair, reiterated the community's commitment to a two-state solution, 2 states for 2 people, but he also mentioned that there is a noticeable change in rhetoric from the government in terms of their passion for Israel and trying not to undermine Israel at international institutions. So we recognise that at the UN we have completely changed our tone on their bias, so we just thanked her for that.
And did the Balfour Declaration coming up in a couple of months, did that come up?
Yeah, she, again, we thanked her for her statements on the Balfour Declaration, her saying that she would mark it with pride. And we said that we very much welcomed the fact that she'd be attending the Community Balfour Centenary Dinner, so we look forward to seeing her there.
And finally, just what were your overall impressions then of this year's meeting with this Prime Minister?
I think she will have come away from the meeting thinking this is a community that I can work with, a community who is looking at all the issues which wider society faces, coming up with their own ways of dealing with it, and hoping that we can work together and learn from each other. So I think she realises she's got a very willing partner, and we're happy to share all best practice.
I think that the good thing about this is that there's a lot of good practice within the Jewish community that can really help any government, and particularly this government, meet some of their wider policy objectives. So it's been a very interesting meeting, and we'll look forward to sharing with you over the coming months the follow-up work that's come on with the various departments on behalf of our member organisations.